Hey, everyone.
Guys,
Hey, girl.
I'm super nervous. So I'm gonna do my best.
Laura, I'm excited you're doing this class because I know that you're gonna rock at this. Like, this is your thing. So don't be nervous at all. Trust me.
Thank you. So I guess we'll just wait for like till maybe 2:05. Let's see, I'm gonna try. Can you hear me okay still?
Mhm.
All right, let me comment. So there's some new people. How do you want to go around like Vanessa and say how long did you get your license just recently? And
Yes, I just got my license at the end of December.
awesome.
Actually, officially 12/31.
Awesome. Okay,
Brand new, brand
starting the
new.
year off. Awesome. Very cool. Welcome. And so then you signed up with Keller Williams. Were you always going to sign up or?
Always with Keller Williams, but no, I never thought about anybody else.
Good. Awesome. Welcome. You'll really love it here. It's a great company.
Enjoying
So-
it so far. Lots to
Good.
learn for sure.
Yes, lots to learn, but
Yeah.
yeah, a little at a time and you'll be surprised how quickly it just starts going. So, and Emma,
A lot of
hi.
people.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Emma. How are you doing?
I'm not licensed. I'm good, thank you. But yeah, I'm not licensed yet. I am studying to get licensed. Hopefully we'll take my exam this month and pass.
Awesome. Good. At the
Well,
end
you
of the
want to
month.
share with Laura what you do for the company.
Oh, I'm Teresa's inside sales associate.
Got
So I
it.
call leads for her team.
Making calls. Okay. How long have you been doing that?
I started working for her, I think in October, but I started really doing the lead stuff like a month or a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Okay. Nice. Good practice while you're getting your studying done.
Yes, calling lots of people. But no
Yes.
one has been really mean to me. I haven't come across any like super mean people.
Good.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, there's usually always one or two somewhere, but that's good. So, and Marianne, if she can hear.
Hi, everybody.
How are you? Are you getting your license or you have your license or?
I passed my test. I signed up with Keller Williams 2 weeks ago, and I'm just waiting for the license to come in. So I'm just learning as much as I can right now.
Awesome.
And I
Very
would do
cool.
video, guys, but we're actually in the middle of construction in my house, and it's something you don't want to see.
Got it. No problem. Yeah, it'll be good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Marianne.
Yeah,
Nice to meet
welcome.
you all.
And Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Paul. Do you also have your license? Or are you working
Yes,
on it?
I've had my license for a while.
Okay. And you just came over to Keller Williams or?
Well, I've been with Keller Williams for, I don't know, a couple of years, actually.
Oh, I have not met you yet. With the Keller Williams in Forest, or are you in a different area?
No, I'm at the lake.
Oh, you're at the lake. Okay. Awesome. With Michelle. All right, well, I guess we can go ahead and get started. My name is Laura. I am on the Acre Brothers real estate team as of just a couple months, but so I work as just a buyer's agent now. I was an admin for a year with Keller Williams at the Bedford team. And then I got my license in 2018. And then, so I was 2019, 2020. So I'm starting my third year with my license. So it's definitely a lot to learn, but it's a great job and it's a great, great experience. So get started. So I do know about buyers. That's why I kind of picked this one to teach, because that's what I work with a lot, and I get a lot of training on how to work with buyers. I'm not the best at it. I'm still learning, but this is some good material too. So we can just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see. And now I don't have it. Hold on one second. Okay, let's see. I lost my PowerPoint. Hold on one second.
Hi, at the top of Jennifer's head.
I try from the top of Jennifer's head.
Okay. If I can do it this way. Okay, can you guys see the slide? I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay, can you guys see the slides? Ignite. Okay. All right, so find and win with buyers. So today, the purpose of this chapter is to focus on working with buyers. It will be, usually it's the first thing you start doing before you get listings. So typically it's easier to work with buyers. It's typically quicker to work with buyers to get a closing. To me, it was a lot less stressful because it's just kind of shopping for a home rather than marketing a home, listing a home, finding out, how to market and sell a home. So this is how to find buyers, how to qualify them, how to schedule a consultation, and then how to go for the close. So I think that, have you been doing the 10-4, daily 10-4? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about researching market statistics, and that is a great way to build confidence when you start talking to people and telling them that you're in real estate. And if you have some data, if you've really done some research on the MLS, that was always great for me, as I was really nervous to talk to people. The more I studied the MLS, the more confidence I had. Script practice is important. We do it on our team. And, there's always a love-hate relationship with scripts, but they really are good, like foundational things to learn and memorize. And then you can customize it to the way that you talk, the way that you feel comfortable, using little bits and pieces. Sometimes they're just little, almost like sound bites that you say to buyers over and over that is a great way of saying something and getting some information to them in a succinct way. So, and then we'll talk about needs, what are buyers' needs, what are they looking for in a realtor, what are they looking for when they're doing home shopping, when they're under contract, what are their expectations and how you can best serve them. And then we'll talk about the buyer consultation. And there's a great, we'll go over it, but Keller Williams has a great buyer consultation booklet that you can print off, and then you can have that, you can customize it as well with your resume, your information to print off and give to your buyers. Okay, so that is what we're going to talk about, finding buyers and winning buyers. So have you done, I guess, the daily 10-4 and also your mission before we got to this session? There was a checklist of things, having your tools, having the MLS, getting familiar with the MLS. Once you have all your login information set up, there's so much on the MLS to learn. There's different places to get data, to pull data, to crunch numbers. And then having your scripts ready, preparing. So the sheet that's on the screen is what was the mission before it. So report out daily 10-4. So it's doing 10 things, 4 categories, 10 things each every day, adding 10 contacts to your database or your CRM, whatever you use, making 10 connections, writing 10 notes to people, note cards, and previewing 10 homes. And previewing homes is also a great way to build that confidence with getting to know the market. You get familiar with, asking a listing agent to go see a home, setting it up, going to the home, getting, figuring out, kind of orienting yourself with different homes, with different neighborhoods. It's a great thing to do when you're brand new, to start out. So if it's not 10 a day, if it's 5 a day, whatever it is, just have a goal. It's really important to have a goal each day and to hold yourself accountable. That's probably one of the biggest things that can help just kind of get that train going. I understand completely with it. So we do that with our team. They hold us accountable. They're very strict about doing your daily goals. So any questions so far? Just going to keep going. Okay, so they have some affirmations. I easily find motivated buyers. Lead generation is a fancy name for just meeting people and finding business. Everyone needs to live somewhere. Most people do buy, so almost everyone in every walk of life needs to have a home and find a home. So buyers really are everywhere. It's just a matter of finding the ones that you want to work with, that are ready to buy, that are willing to buy, and that are motivated to buy. So have your database, your list of contacts. It says here, we're going to skip over, but spend 20 minutes to an hour to 2 hours calling people, making contact with people, sending texts with as many people as possible. It's a great, easy thing to say, hey, I just got my license, posting on Facebook or Instagram, like, this is my favorite house I saw today that's available. Start having people connect you with real estate, your realtor, and then always ask for referrals. You know someone who, is getting ready to move, getting ready to buy, and that's a great way to start. And then just make your list and keep your list of people with as much information as possible: name, phone number, email address, home address. You can send them a card, just keep in touch with people. So There are some scripts. Let's see, that says. So that's the 10-4, 10 new contacts, speak with 10 people in your database, write 10 notes, note cards, and then weekly preview 10 homes. Okay, so we'll skip like doing calls right now, but handwritten notes are great. I think they're a great thing, especially in how tech everything is nowadays. I do think it's a great thing to just send a handwritten note. Thanks for chatting with me, or just a little, hey, just wanted to check in and send you a card. I was thinking about you. Okay, so get your head in the game. So finding buyers is simple. I didn't really believe that at the beginning, but it really is. It's more about the numbers, having a lot of people, then funneling it down to making appointments. Not everyone is going to work out. There's going to be a lot of no's. So I think it's a ratio of having enough people so that your yeses balance it out with the amount of people that are going to say, oh no, I'm waiting, or I'm not ready, or I need to, no, we're not going to move. Then you just have to have enough people to talk to. So finding buyers is simple. Servicing buyers is inexpensive. It's very easy, and to just talk to someone. You're just, what are you looking for? When are you thinking about moving? You need to get a bigger home. Okay, you're renting and it's a great time to buy. Have you ever thought about buying? Those kind of questions. It's pretty much just picking up the phone and calling people, texting, emailing, Facebook messaging, however you want to get a hold of people. And it says, yeah, apart from gas in your car, that's pretty much, it's a low cost thing to help people. And then earning with buyers is quick. So you get a buyer and then you just start shopping and looking for homes, sending them homes, texting them you see on, the MLS or Zillow, and then you go out and start looking, and then you get them to write an offer, and then you have a closing. So it is the quickest way is to focus on getting some buyers right away. Especially right now, it's a great time. We're just about to hit March, so it's about to really get busy. And then they have that little lead funnel that is really good, and we use that on our team as well. You have to have a huge funnel at the top with a lot of people to hone it down, because there will always be, if you only have 3 people that you're talking to and you're really kind of counting on them because they've said, yeah, we might be buying this spring, they can very easily just disappear with like, oh, never mind, we decided to move out of the area. No, we decided to wait a year. Oh, we're going to get a divorce instead, actually. And then all of a sudden your customers are gone. But if you have a big enough funnel, then it can funnel down to appointments, and then agreements, and then contracts, and then closings. So it is just talking to a large amount of people. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, converting buyers. And that was something that did hit me as well at the beginning, was like, a lead makes it sound like not close. It sounds like this thing that's out there, but leads are just people. They're people that and it's true. I think in one class we said, you can be at the doctor and he's like, well, what do you do for a living? And you say, well, I'm a real estate agent. And he says, oh, my wife and I were just talking about buying a home. And that is a lead. It's all about just what you do once you have that conversation. Okay, great, you're looking at buying, and then how you follow up with them, how you continue to nurture that relationship and continue to, well, let me send you some homes. Let me, see if I can find something for you in that neighborhood, things like that. So finding buyers is the first thing, and they really are everywhere. qualifying them, which is a little more whittling down, and then signing your buyers. So remember, your number one job is lead generation. You can't work with buyers if you don't have any buyers. So that is the number one thing. So there is a statistic they wanted to highlight. Oh, I'll watch a little video. Yeah. 2/3 of all buyers interviewed only one agent, according to the NAR. And 88% of buyers purchased their home through a real estate agent. 40% of buyers found their agent through a referral from friends or family. 12% of buyers used an agent that they had used in the past. So that's really low. So even if they said, you know, oh, we use, or, you know, we bought a house, and you think, oh, they'll probably use the agent that they had before, it's very low, highly unlikely that they will. And 9% of buyers found an agent visiting an open house. So open houses are really good to add to meet people that are buying. You just have, you guys stay in touch with them. So another great little tip with buyers is that, I don't know if they talk about, but buyers do not pay realtor fees. They're paid out of the sale of the home. So it's a great thing when you're talking to someone who's doesn't understand that having a buyer's agent in their corner helping them is, they don't pay for it. It's paid out of the sale of the home. They don't pay you directly. So it's a great sale to just say, you know, it really behooves you to have someone in your corner working with you, staying in touch with you, and walking you through the whole process. And, you know, you don't pay me directly for my services. So the other thing I always tell people is just don't, you know, call me, don't call the agent on the sign, because the agent on the sign of the house is working for the seller. They are trying to get them the best price. They're trying to, they've already, even if they can help you, they've already established a relationship with the sellers. They know them, they're working with them, they have a good relationship with them. So if you try to get the listing agent to help you, there can be a little bit of a conflict. So I just say, you know, always call me, I'll help you. And so that's a great way to, a little script for buyers. Okay. All right, so we're gonna, there's a little video they want to show. So let me be not tech savvy and do this. Okay. I think it was. Okay, can everyone see the video?
The sound is underwater. If that,
You can't hear the sound very well,
no, can't hear the sound.
like at all, or?
Well, it's like it's underwater. It's really bad.
Water.
Unless, I don't know if anybody else.
Okay.
house. What are those underlying tips of motivation that will tip you off to having a client that's ready to do business now versus a year from now? Tip number 2, ask for the appointment. Have a calendar or your smartphone ready to say, I have availability tomorrow at 2 or the next.
You want to start it again?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pollock, and I'd like to share tips on how to find the motivated. What do I mean by find the motivated? Turning a warm lead into a closed client. The first tip is when you find someone, you want to ask for the business. Let's say you're at a party and your friend is pregnant. You can always say, hey, it looks like you need a bigger house. Or you're out and about and you see this big, beautiful diamond ring and not the full wedding ring. You can say, hey, it looks like you just got engaged. Congratulations. When are you buying your next house? And then I always ask, when are you ready to buy? When are you looking to move into your new house? What are those underlying tips of motivation that will tip you off to having a client that's ready to do business now versus a year from now? Tip number 2, ask for the appointment. Have a calendar or your smartphone ready to say, I have availability tomorrow at 2 or the next day at 4. Which one would work for you? Book the appointment when you meet someone who's ready to do business. Tip number 3, so now you've got the appointment, you want to pre-qualify that appointment by using scripts. Ask questions such as, have you met with the lender that I referred you to the other day? To make sure that they have their price range in mind when they're meeting with you to buy a home, and that you know they're able to sell a home or that they're motivated by a desire to have another outcome, like maybe they're relocating or they're downsizing their home. There has to be some motivation level to continue forward with the appointment. Tip number 4, use embedded commands. When you get in front of the people face-to-face at your appointment, you want to be talking embedded command language, such as, when you're comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, then we'll sign the contract tonight. If you're using that language throughout your hour or half an hour appointment, they'll be more comfortable when they get to the end and they'll sign that contract and then you can move forward. The last step is you've signed them up and now it's your goal to get a referral. When you're in conversation with them on the phone, in the car, at the closing, use questions. Who else do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate that I can call today? If you keep saying this throughout the process, you'll find yourself turning more of your current clients into referral business that will generate lots of easy sales for you. So go out there and find the motivated and have a great day.
Okay. Okay. Everyone heard that? Okay. Sorry, it was okay. Can everyone hear me now too?
Yes.
Okay. So that is kind of what I was saying too, that was really good about just that, yes, it's very natural at a party or you're meeting a neighbor or something and they just say, well, what do you do for a living? And then, I'm a real estate agent, or any type of question with what they're up to, where they are at life, is very natural to ask them. Oh, so, did you just buy your home, or how long have you been at your home? Things like that. Those are very natural conversations. And that's where you can get good leads from that you can turn into clients, and finding out their motivation. I've learned it's very important, not just what their motivation is, but how strong it is. Okay.
Be a secret agent.
Yes. Be a secret agent.
Hey, Laura, do you wear your name tag when you go to parties?
No. And I usually don't have my business card, which is pretty bad. But I am better about telling people that I'm a realtor. And I do think it's a great, Stephen, my team leader, has been making us share homes on our personal Facebook page, which I never really thought to do. But it's amazing how many people comment, and I have gotten buyers from it. They'll message me on the side and say, hey, because they just start to put your name and face with houses, and then they start asking you questions about houses. And so I think, and then the repetition of doing it, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or, you know, twice a week, it just starts getting people to put you together with, okay, you're a real estate agent and I have a real estate question. And then they start talking to you. So. Okay, so we're going to do a little section on market research. And this is something that really helped me get more confidence with starting to get buyers, was if I felt like I knew what I was talking about or knew the market better, I had more confidence to make cold calls and get out there and start talking to people. So that's something that's really easy to do. Every morning, you should check the hot sheet on the MLS, the new listings of the day. I usually go back 3 days in case I missed something, check it. You know, even morning, lunch, and afternoon, I'll do a quick check. Or, you know, before I'm going to bed, sometimes I'll check. Sometimes I'll check when I wake up really, you know, early in the morning. I'll just check just to see anything that popped up. So right now it's really low. There's only a few that come on the market every day, about 20 to 25. So it doesn't take long to look at the new listings for the day. You should always be able to respond to buyers with, you know, what's available in my price range as a general. If they say, I don't think I can afford to buy a house, I'm thinking about waiting until next year, can you help me find investment properties? Or I can afford about $1,500 per month for my living expenses, but I'd like to live in, and then they say, you know, $600,000 houses. So having a response ready to talk, those are very common things that buyers talk about. So to be able to say, okay, you're, you know, if you want about a $200,000 house right now, how the market is, it's going really quick. You know, what school district do you want to be in? There's certain school districts that houses go faster than others. Certain price ranges that houses go faster than others. So, okay, knowing your terms. So this is page 15. Here are some basic terms that are good to know. So list price to sales price ratio. So the list price is the price that people list the house at, the listing agents. The sale price is what it's sold for. It's on every house at the very end of the MLS listing. It's usually on the far right corner. And then on the percentage, you'll say 100%, 99%, 98%. Right now, everything's pretty much going for above asking price. So it's 103 to 105% typically. That's a really important number to know. I believe I look at it for when you're writing an offer. It's a great script when your buyers want to do a lowball offer. You can go into that neighborhood, pull all the homes that have sold within the last year, and look at how, you know, what is the average? What are these houses selling for? If all of them are selling for 99 to 100%, the chances of making an offer at, you know, 85% is impossible or improbable. So those are great. And you can, you know, send them a copy of it or pull it up for them and just say, you know, look at this is the area, this is what the homes are going for right now. It's just the way the market is. So list price to sales price is a really good ratio. It's great. It's definitely something when you're writing an offer to look at and to help educate your buyers. Days on market is another important number. I think more for listing agents need to know it when they're, you know, when you're going to list a house, you need to make sure that they know how long typically houses are on the market in their price range. It is a different number for different price ranges. $200,000 houses right now, I think I heard it was like 4 to 7 hours average right now on the market before they go pending. And then, but then it'll be different at 400,000. It'll be different at 800,000. It'll be different at 100,000. It'll be different for different areas, things like that. So there's a great little tool on the MLS where you can, you do a search, you click a certain, if you want to do 24504, or 245, 02 or 24551 for Forest or wherever, click all the houses. You can do 3-bedroom houses, just get a whole bunch of houses. And then you click, there's a button called like stats. And it'll open up a separate window and it'll list all the houses and it'll give you the average sales price, the average square footage, the days on market. And sometimes you have to click off the last, there's always 1 or 2 houses that are like, 600 days. And then, if you take off the highest and use sometimes the lowest to get a good reading of the average days on market. So you can kind of cut and paste the data as you can do ranch style homes, you can do 2-story homes, things like that. So.
Hey, that's great information. I've never used that stat button before, so I'm gonna have to play with that. Thank you.
Yes, no, I love it. I use it quite often because you can get a good snapshot of everything, to see. Yeah, they have an average price and a median price. So you can do price per square foot. Yeah, it has a lot of data on there. So, and then there's another term on there that's CDOM, which is cumulative days on market. And that is, I believe it's if a house has gone on the market, off, and then back on, it will do a cumulative. So it's not it's been on for this many days straight. It's been all together on, that's how I've before taught it. Okay, average days on market, that's where you can find that in that stats button. You can find the average and the median. We don't have a huge market compared to others. So sometimes the numbers, like I said, do get skewed. If there's, $1 million house, it skews everything. So like I said, if you just pull that one off, it'll give you a better read. Bins, I don't really know that term, but it's definitely good, especially if you have hot buyers, to set them up on some type of instant notification through the MLS. Has a good one that I've used quite often, especially when I was starting out. The team has a different system, that something that instantly sends them homes when they pop up in their price range or their whatever they're looking for, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that they get some type of instant notification. And right now, the way the market's going, you have to have something like that, because just waiting to search manually doesn't get homes fast enough.
Hey, Laura.
Yes.
Hey, Laura, and that's a good point. And when you bring up good points, I'm going to say that's a great point. When you get that when they get that notification you sent them, if they're on a custom search, RVAR, because I don't do LAR, I get the email too, and it says, Jane Smith just viewed. So then you can pull it up and see what house was sent to them. So if they call you, you're not like, what house is it? So that's a good thing to do, is to do that custom search. But just let people know they get notified as well.
Hey, Michelle, in Lynchburg, they call it auto prospecting. RVAR has it's a different name.
It's a custom search. It's put them on a custom search, and then you go in there and put all their stuff, their email, price range, same as y'all's. It's just, and then, like I said, we get notification as well.
And I tell you guys what's great about that, the busier you get, and I guarantee you that Michelle and Laura out there showing homes for hours every day. And Laura talked about hitting that hot sheet, and I do it too. But when you get busy, and then, your client calls you because they're on Zillow or Realtor and they're getting that listing instantly. And when they call you about it first, it looks like you're not really doing your job. But if you have them on auto prospect and they're getting it, then you're the forefront of that, them getting that information. So it's great to do those automatic things the busier you get too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it is. It gets impossible to keep track of and everyone's specific, they wanted the school district, they want 2 acres, they want, you know, a pool. And so if you just put them on the custom search, yes, I think there is the option that Lynchburg MLS, if you wanted to get a home, an email every time they got a home, you can do that, or you can get a daily summary of their activity. What was the other thing I was gonna say? You can also set up how often they get them. You can do instant, or you can do every week, every month, twice a month. So that's a good for even buyers that are not, they're not ready to get bombarded with emails. You can still send them homes every once in a while. So
Yeah, but if you've got somebody hot that's pre-qualified and they're looking, they need to be on like the automatic immediate search that you get copied on it too. So you can call them right away and go, let's take a look at this if it's.
Yeah, that's true. I should be better about, I don't always have myself like getting the emails, but yeah, that's a good, because most people I run into do have, they're on instant Zillow auto notification, so they will see houses very quick too.
They see it before we do.
Yeah, they see it before. Yeah, totally. Okay, so then page 16, market statistics. Be the expert professional real estate agent that your buyers can rely on for having local market statistics at your fingertips. So again, this was stuff that really helped me at the beginning when I wasn't fully ready to just jump into a very sales position type job with the real estate. I was more leaning in on wanting to be a consultant or helping people by learning the market. And I felt like the more I knew, or the more I learn and the more I know, that the better I can be to help people. So this kind of talks about what we just talked about. So knowing the list to sales price ratios, the average days on market, the number of homes on the market in different price ranges. You need to be aware of trends and have an overall picture of what is going on in terms of listing inventory across the different prices. And I would say also, for some reason, school districts, it's like Brookville School District has a totally different set than like other areas. So asking people if the school district matters, or, you know, if they need to be out in the county because they're doing a USDA loan, then sometimes it's a little bit slower out in the counties than it is in Lynchburg City. And then price trends, how houses are going up and how they have gone up. And so it is always great to buy. And right now, it sounds like, you know, the market's just climbing, but it's still you do build equity because the homes were selling for less last year. They're going to most likely sell for more next year. So, and you can pull all of those price trends up on an individual home, on a neighborhood, through the MLS. So you can say, yeah, homes in Campbell County have gone up, you know, 15% over the last couple of years. And so you can tell people with confidence that, you know, buying a house right now, it's going to build equity. And then knowing the local information, that is important, and knowing school districts, local resources, you know, I've gotten a lot of people that want to be on the 460 corridor, they call it. I'm not really from here originally, so I'm learning like the 460 corridor because it's easier to commute to either Liberty or to Roanoke or something like that. So there's different areas that people like. So my best piece of advice, I think it's really true, is just put yourself in their shoes. Or when I bought my first house this summer, and that was a real experience, because then you can see it from the other perspective and thinking of, you know, what questions you had when you were buying, what would you find confusing if you were trying to buy, what would you want someone to say to you, what would you look for in a realtor, and then, you know, just that's a great tip, is to think about it from their perspective, and then making sure that you can meet those needs. And also like talking in a lot of terms that they won't necessarily know, like inventory or MLS or different USDA, all the kind of terms, just to put it in, to have some good lay terms in your scripts to be able to express different things about the market that most people don't know in that type of language. So then there's a page, we'll just skip over it, but taking time to study the market will really be a good foundation. Okay, any questions in that part? That's kind of the research part. Now we're going to go into qualifying buyers. Good? Okay. Okay, so once you have, you're getting a good handle on the market, on the houses, you're starting to go out and see homes, get knowledgeable about different properties. Your next step is to start qualifying buyers and scheduling appointments with buyers. Whether you're speaking to someone in your sphere, a referral, or responding to a buyer who calls on a sign or from an open house, making contact with a buyer, looking for properties on your website, you have two goals. Qualify them. Are they actual buyers? And number two, get the appointment for the buyer consultation. So that was, I am noticing now, just even 3 years in, that I have gone from like, oh, you talked about a house. Okay, you're, being very, what's the word? Just like going after that person. You do want to get to a place where you want to know whether you're wasting your time and their time, because if they're not ready, they're not willing, they're not able, then you got to find out sooner rather than later. So,
Hey, Laura.
Yes.
That's what I say. Our first year, you have to be a whore to the business. So that's what I say. Anybody that calls, they might not be qualified. They're looking at a $40,000, depressed property that's foreclosed that you don't even know how to do the paperwork for, but you're going to go meet them 3 hours away or an hour and a half away to show them that property. But, you got to learn to vet these people, not waste your time, but also spend a little time with them, maybe doing a buyer's consult,
Yes. And I always felt like, even if this is like not a real buyer, it's giving me practice of going out to a house, practice of looking up the information. They're going to ask me questions. I got to find out where to find the answers. So all of it adds to the big bucket of the career. It's almost like you have to look at it that way. Even every conversation is a good, honing in to get to just sharpening skills. So that's true. Okay, so, but it is good to, especially, but then the other, at the same time, when you really do need to get a closing, you need a sale, because I understand the stress of not having a closing, kind of spinning your wheels. So to avoid wasting time, they may not be qualified to buy. They may have another agent they're working with. They may not be serious. They're just checking prices. So the sooner you can find that out, the better it is to determine whether it's a good fit or you both have to move on. So that is why qualify first. It is important. When buyers call on a property they saw online or they're driving by, this sounds like an instant client, right? No, buyers who are calling on properties often have two goals: to either eliminate the property with a quick call. They want to determine if the house has potential, and then eliminate you. Until they are ready to make a move, they want to avoid salespeople. And those are probably both true. So when someone calls, it's usually, does this house have a basement, or what's this house priced at? Just a quick question. And I do think there is an art to it of answering their question, being straightforward and honest, but then also, oh, have you been looking for a while? Or is this, are you looking for homes with only basements? Or just a natural question to get them to start opening up, and then saying, yeah, we've been looking for a while, or no, not really. And then, okay, well, are you currently renting, or do you own a home? How long have you lived at your home? And then just start, what's your timeline? Are you thinking about moving this spring, or Are you just looking? So starting to open up those questions and starting that dialogue will help to start qualifying. So you're immediately starting to find more information through questions. And yes, they don't want to talk to you until they're ready. I think it's true. So using scripts that give buyers information on the property, but at the same time enable you to not just say, oh, the house is $500,000. Okay, well, have a great day. Thank you. Bye. So it is, you know, just casually trying to get them to open up to you and say, well, you know, like I was saying, how long have you been looking? Things like that. So, and then that's that statistic. 2/3 of all buyers interviewed only one agent. So if you can get the appointment, you're most likely to get the buyer, especially if they start telling you a lot of information, because the more they tell and connect with you, the idea of starting all over with somebody new that doesn't know them is a hurdle. So I think that that's also a reason why people, they feel like they've just really given you so much information that they just don't want to start over with someone that doesn't know them. So if you can get a consultation or appointment, they will most likely be your client. Okay, so number one is to qualify. Use the buyer lead sheet. These are available on online, and it's a great one. And then you can customize it too. Tom Ferry also has a really good one that I've customized from. It's basically just having the right questions to ask someone and not bombard them, because I can be like a 20 question kind of person where it's like, oh, okay, how many bedrooms and how many baths and how much square footage. And so I think there is an art to knowing which questions are good and which ones just, there are good questions, but they just kind of lead you to a
Laura?
place. Yes.
Can you repeat where you can find those checklists, please?
Yes, it says on here that they're downloadable in the Ignite toolkit.
Okay, thank you so much.
But I think that maybe Shalaya or something can give us instructions on where to get them, because I think they are probably somewhere on the website on Keller Williams, but yeah. I'm sure, I'm assuming Shalaya will be able to help with that. So the buyer lead sheet, it establishes the basic things you need to know: their price range, their motivation, the location they're looking, their wants and needs, their timeline, their finances, and their availability. So, you know, using the sheet, I have 7 questions that I typically try to ask someone when I'm doing my calls and things like that. And it is around, do you currently own or are you renting? Are you a first-time home buyer? Where are you looking in general? What are you looking for in general? What's your timeline, your time frame? And do you have a lender, or have you spoken to a lender? Those are about the 7 things that I try to ask. And then I try to ask in a nice way why, or sometimes you can just ask straightforward, like, why are you moving? Why are you planning on moving? Because that's really when you hone down on their motivation. They're trying to downsize. They just moved to the area. Their kids just graduated from high school, and you know, then you find out truly, are they really going to buy? Are they serious? When you find out their motivation. So, and then there's some more questions in this buyer consultation, like who lives with you? How many people are in your household? How long have you been looking? How are you going to finance your home? Is it a cash purchase, or will you need to talk to a lender? What price range are you comfortable with? I ask both, you know, what's their monthly budget? What most people can grasp what they want to spend per month on a mortgage more than how much house they want to buy as far as the sales price. So asking them what budget they want to stay around, or what's a number they want to stay under. Sometimes I'll ask it like that. What are you comfortable with staying under? What's your max? To find out. On a scale of 1 to 10, meaning you must buy a home as quickly as possible, how would you rate yourself? Typically I ask it like, what's your timeline? Do you need to move, or do you have a time frame? So then after you get those questions answered, or a general idea, you can rate the buyer on their level of willingness, readiness, and ability. They have to have all three. It's really true. They can't, sometimes they have two. They're ready and they're willing, but they're not able to. And that's really unfortunate. They either have, you know, they have to wait on something. They have a credit repair, or they're willing to buy and they're able to buy, but they're just not ready emotionally, you know, financially. And then they're able and ready, but they're not willing. They don't want to move. The market's moving too fast for them. They want to wait until it slows down, all those things. So once you get them in, once you kind of figure out where they are at, then you can put them in a different category. A buyers, B buyers, or C buyers. We do hot buyers, warm buyers, and cold. And that will determine the level of how you keep up with them. A buyers get the instant notifications, they get the daily stuff, you check in because they're ready to go. B buyers are maybe more like every week, every other week, checking in. And then C buyers are cold, and yes, if they're not going to buy until next year, and that's a firm set thing, I think there is something to bugging people. It annoys people when they're bombarded, and you cannot text them every day and say, are you ready? You know, like, how's it going? They're not ready. But I do think it is true. What I'm finding is that people will push it longer, and it actually is shorter than what they say. So if they say next year, it's usually the summer. If they say this summer, it's usually the spring. So that's, I don't know if that's like a salesperson, they don't want to talk to you kind of thing. But so I think more communication is better than less, but that's where that's going to help focus on who needs your help the most. Any questions so far? I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. Qualifying someone financially is one of the biggest parts of this. It really comes down to the financing and the money, if they have it, if they can get it, if they're willing to get it. So that goes hand in hand with qualifying a buyer. You don't want to waste your time or the buyer's time looking at homes if they're just not in their price range, they're not qualified. It is true. I do think that we talk about this in our team of, you know, if you're meeting someone at a house, they want to see the house, meet them at the house, meet them face to face, get to know them, ask them some questions. They might not be qualified, but at least you're making a connection. But it doesn't hurt to, you know, call or text them before and just say, you know, by the way, just how are you planning on financing, or how are you planning on paying for the home? Do you need any help with a lender?
Laura, can I inject right here too? So I think there's nothing wrong with going out and meeting somebody one time. Just so they can see your personality. You're both kind of interviewing each other, and then you play the lender card on them and say, look, if you talk to a lender, if this person regularly just does not listen but wants to keep looking at houses, that's when you go back and start putting those leads back in the top of your funnel again, and you put them on auto prospecting, because they have to respect your time, you know, and what you're doing for a living. And if they repeatedly don't make that call and try to get, and this is what I tell people, instead of saying, I need to get you pre-qual to show you a house, I say, hey, the lender might pre-qual you for $350,000. But what if you're really comfortable at $250,000 with that payment because you have 4 kids? So that's kind of how I play that as an easy way of like, let's find your perfect price point. So we don't look at something that's going to be higher than what you want to pay out of your pocket, you know?
Yeah, yeah, there are, and all of those are scripts. They're like little nuggets of how to ask things. Like I remember Teresa said, like, you know, you don't want to offend someone by, you know, saying, oh, you know, do you need to talk to a lender when there is, you know, they might be paying cash. And so that might kind of turn them off if you're already coming across with a lender. So there are different ways to ask and find out, but it is important to find out. There is a difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. A pre-qualification is based on the initial information that the buyer gives the lender. A pre-approval is more involved. They usually do a couple verifications. It depends on the lender. Some lenders do it, some don't, but they'll go a little more in depth to make really sure that they are pre-approved. I mean, it's not 100% sure, but that it's a little stronger than a pre-qualification. And then there are scripts about explaining the benefits of a pre-approval. I won't read it, but obviously knowing what you can afford, what your monthly payment is going to be. And then you cannot submit an offer without a pre-approval letter. And in this market, you want to have it immediately. You cannot, I mean, I think it's even not very strong to say, I'll send it to you tomorrow. You have to have it with the offer. So that right there is enough to know, to tell buyers that if they haven't talked to the lender, they need to. And then as fast as the market's moving, if they have a pre-approval letter in hand, ready to go, they're that much more on the ball. And you need to have that right now with the market. Okay, 7 critical points in the mortgage process for realtors. So Teresa has taught me and other realtors that, you know, there is a separation. You cannot give a lot of financial insight without saying, you know, this is just a ballpark. I'm just making a guess. You need to talk to a lender. So always make sure you're pointing them to that you are not a lender, but you can answer basic questions for them and have a basic idea of the process so that you can answer some questions. So the 7 critical points when you are working with a lender is the initial handoff. So however you do it, and I do it differently for different people. If you want to say, I have an awesome lender I work with, can I have him call you? Or if you say, I'll text you a few lenders that I work with that do a great job, or I'll text you a link to their application. You know, do you want me to call them now? I can call a lender while we're all standing here so you can talk to him directly. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and everyone's different about, I know finances it's a very personal thing. So some people are more comfortable filling out an application in private, you know, with a link through their phone, or they're happy to talk to someone right there or with you. It, you know, depends on the person. You can, at the initial handoff, you can kind of explain the down payment they'll need and begin making arrangements so that they can have those funds ready. It'll help with competitive offers, and sellers will be more likely to choose their pre-qualified offer over a similar offer. They will not choose an offer that's not with a pre-approval letter. So, yeah, I think it's self-explanatory. They have to talk to a lender if they need financing or if they have financing questions. It's just something they have to do. So then I usually always either send a text or call the lender and sometimes give them a heads up. Hey, a first-time home buyer is going to call you. They're looking, you know, in the county or something like that. So have a good couple lenders that you know, you like, and that you can work with really easily. So it makes it great
And
you're
guys,
going
if you
through
don't
it.
know this, get with an agent like Laura or somebody that's been in the business for a while and ask who they recommend, because they work with these people and they know that they're reliable. You can reach them on weekends. They're going to get you a pre-qual quickly or pre-approval quickly. You know, it has these people in your tool belt, because you're going to need them. You're going to need to communicate with them on a regular basis.
Yeah, yes, for sure. And if you find ones that are great, some are better about texting than others, some are better to get a hold of on nights and weekends. And in this kind of market, especially, a lot of people have to look at homes on Sundays. And if there's some lenders really truly are, they're easier to get a hold of on a Sunday, and it helps a lot. Okay, so then explaining to them pre-qualification, pre-approval. You know, I think there is a balance between overloading people with too much information. Their heads will spin, but you do want to say, you know, you need to get your pre-qualification, set the expectations with them on what's, when's, and how's. Once you've handed off the buyer to the loan officer and they've had that initial evaluation, it's a good time to let the loan officer know what events in the mortgage process you want to know about, when you want to be updated. That's another thing. If you start working with lenders, the same lender, few lenders on a semi-regular basis, they will know when to update you. You'll kind of get a good working relationship throughout the process once under contract. Number 4, reinforcing loan requirements to the buyer. There's no denying that tightened loan investor requirements and the new TILA RESPA rules have made the mortgage process even more complicated, which makes mortgage or borrowers' cooperation more important than ever. Your home buyer will hear this loud and clear from the lender, but it's a good idea for you to reinforce this message by giving your buyer a pep talk, encouraging him to be responsive to all information requests. So in the contract, it does state that once the offer is ratified, they have 7 days to complete the loan application with the lender. So whenever I send out an initial email of like, congratulations, we got our offer accepted, here are the next steps. One of the steps is always like, I'm sending a copy of the purchase agreement to the lender. You have, you know, there's a deadline. You need to complete the loan application. They will contact you, and then I give them the date of when the deadline is. You know, it's important to stay within that line. Sometimes unhappily, it goes longer. It's usually not a total deal breaker, but to stay within the bounds of the contract, it needs to be within the first week typically. And it also helps to have everything else, because if they are late starting the application, they can be late ordering the appraisal, and underwriting can drag on. So they got to get on it with it. Unexpected events. Life continues during the under contract period, and there's occasionally can be circumstances to deal with. They need to contact the loan officer immediately, or if you hear something that they've changed jobs, gotten divorced or married, something like that, the lender has to know as soon as possible. The lender will go over that with them, but I do typically say, like, look, during the 30-day period, everything's under scrutiny. You just cannot open a new credit card. You know, people will sometimes forget, and they do. They'll start ordering furniture, switching stuff up, and then it can put the contract in jeopardy. Or there's just a lot of extra work for the lender to have to go and re-pull all those new accounts and things like that. So post-approval lockdown. Once your buyer has received final loan approval, congratulate them, but also tell them that between now and the loan closing, it's a terrible time to buy a new car or furniture, incur any new debt, or quit a job. So again, even with the clear to close final approval, they still need to just kind of hang tight until we close. Then they can go out and get a new credit card or do different things that they want to do.
Quit their job the day after is fine.
Yeah, quit their job. Yeah, change jobs. Yeah, exactly. And then loan closing. You give your loan officer the specifics of the loan closing, and do not forget to update them. Actually important today. Okay, Well, at the very beginning, when you're getting your offer written, you need to find out from the lender, how many days it's going to take to close the loan. USDA is 45 days right now. So you can ask the lender. Conventional, I think, is still 30. So just ask the lender, can we close this within 30 days? Because you'll have to know that to put the closing date on the contract when you're writing it. Okay, that's all with lending. So get the appointment. Now that you've qualified them, you've determined their ability, their readiness, their willingness to purchase a home, it's time to close for the appointment. Based on the qualifications, you'll vary your follow-up. Buyer A is, get in the car immediately, go start seeing houses this weekend. Buyer B is really honing in on what's stopping them, what are they waiting on, what they're working on, and then just kind of stay in touch with them, checking in. Hey, just want to check in. How is, some people are like, oh, we're going to fix our deck before we list it, or, we want to wait till our son graduates in May. So then just checking in, hey, how's it going? Congrats on your son graduating. How's the deck coming? Just want to check in. Do you want me to come out and see it? Happy to do that. Just kind of keeping in touch. And then buyer C is, there's different types of campaigns if you use the Keller Williams command, but just sending them a note quarterly, just checking in. I was thinking about you today. Hope you're having a great day, enjoying the weather. Looking forward to when you're buying your house, love to help you, types of things. So there's a little script on scheduling an appointment. So, setting up a time to go see the property. What time do you want to see it? Great. We can meet at my office first and then go out to see it, so we can go over the process before we go out to the home. Sometimes I do the consultation right there in the kitchen after we're done seeing the home. That's a great, sometimes people don't want to come in and meet you just separately, so you can just do the buyer consultation at the first home you're seeing together. That's a great way to just kill two birds with one stone. If you have called a referral and the buyers have been willing to answer questions and stay on the phone with you, you have the potential to be serious buyers. Demonstrate that your service has value to them and focus on the benefits to the buyer. So there's little scripts about, I invite you to come into the office. Do you want to, or I'll take you out to coffee. We can meet for lunch. Meet in a public place, be safe. You're especially meeting someone for the first time. And the office is great. And, we have that room downstairs, the conference room. It's great. We have coffee, water, you can just bring people in and meet them here. It's usually always available. So it's a great place to meet people. And then do the buyer consultation. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through it. I will also have Shalaya get the buyer guide. Keller Williams has a great one. And in Command, I know they have a bunch of different ones. So you can customize them. You can add your information. You can take out stuff that you think, I don't like that part. So you can have a packet of information to hand to them about the buying process. So the buyer consultation is a tremendous opportunity to pave the way to an effective and long-term relationship with buyers. During your meeting with the buyers, your goals are to delve into the needs, wants, and values of your buyers, showcase your services, and educate and set expectations for how you will work together, and then walk away with a signed agreement. So actually, before I go into it, do we need to take a break, or is everyone doing okay? Questions or anything?
You guys want to take a quick break? Shake it off?
I don't know. Have you been doing breaks with Ignite?
How long is
Or
your
we can
class
take a
going to be,
little
Laura?
break.
She said 3 to 5, but I don't think I'm going to go. 2 to 5, 3 hours, but
Yeah, we've done 2 to 5. Teresa did it like 2 to almost 6 one day, but we've also done like 2 to 3:30. So,
okay. I think we're almost done. I'm not going to go too deep into the, they have the whole packet but we'll probably be finished at, I would say 3:30, 3:45.
That sound good with you guys?
And we just keep going if you want.
Sounds
Go
good.
for it.
Okay. Okay, so the buyer consultation is what customer experience is all about. You are devoting your full attention to the buyers, which shows that you care deeply about finding them the right home. You're bringing your complete skill set to the table, which demonstrates your ability to provide the kind of expertise and perspective that will enable them to make confident, informed decisions. The buyer consultation is possibly the most critical point when working with buyers because it is how you turn your appointment into a signed buyer representation agreement. I would agree with that statement. And the buyer consultation is one of my favorite parts because you do get to know the person, and that's, I don't know, I love that part because you get to know like where their kids are, if they have kids, if they have pets, you know, how long they've been married, how long they've lived in their home. There's so many questions to ask and to get to know them. And then, you know, how long have they lived in Lynchburg? What are they looking for? It's just a great time to get to know the person.
This can also save you a ton of time by showing them things that they are not going to buy too. So
yes. Yep. And just honing in on it. So again, there's that funnel that I've truly come to understand over doing the last couple of years. That top of the funnel has to be huge. It has to be. You don't have enough leads. You won't have enough appointments. People will cancel on you. People will ghost you. They will not show up. So if you only had one appointment set for that week and then they don't show up, or they text you and say, hey, you know, our cousin sells real estate, we're going to go ahead and use them, gone. So then it's like, okay, I'm starting from scratch again. So it is true. You got to have a big lead to get the appointments because you will have no's, and then you will have consultations that don't go anywhere. So it's really true to get the agreements, to get the contracts and close. So if you get a bunch of no's, it's not you. It's just that you got to have, it's a numbers thing. It's just all about the numbers. Stephen has really taught me that. He's my team lead. It's like, it's all about the numbers. You got to have a lot of people. So we are at the agreements part. Okay. So the first step in the 8 steps for the buyer consultation is to set the stage. You only have one chance to make a first impression. Appreciate them, listen. That's another thing he's taught me a lot. Is just less is more, and just be quiet. Just let them talk and talk and talk, and just ask a little question and then let them talk more. Just be really quiet. You don't have to have a pitch, a big speech. Just good questions. Be on time, obviously, be presentable, be professional. It really is the first impression, and that it's about trust. They want to sense that they can trust you. So it's all about you, the buyer. And that is one thing that I do think sets you apart, because I do think there are a lot of realtors where it's all about them and how great they are and how great their team is, or how great, you know, let me tell you all these things about Keller Williams, but turning it around and saying, it's not about me, you know, I'm here to help you. I can tell you about myself, but it's all about you. What are you looking for? What are your goals? Your needs, your dreams, your concerns, your questions, your finances. Where do you want to go in life? What's your big plan? You know, and how can I help you get there? So it's all about the buyer. The second page explains some benefits about working with me. So, you know, you can have your resume in the packet, or just some bullet points about some of, you know, things you've done, but, you know, this is who I am, and this is what you get from my service. I will organize and schedule homes for you. I'll personally tour the homes with you. I'll keep you informed of new homes on the market. I'm advising you of how much other homes have sold for, and working with you until we find your dream home. So I would spend triple the time on them, 2/3 on them, 1/3 on you, or even less. Just get to know them. And then, yes, have a little bit about yourself and how many years you've been in real estate, or, you know, and especially as just starting, it's great to say, you know, I'm just starting out, but Keller Williams is a great company and we all work together. And if there's any questions you have and I don't know it, I have plenty of contacts to ask and I'll find out. So that's a great little script. Okay, so number 2, educate your buyers. Information is power. A buyer who knows what to expect is a confident buyer. Confident buyer is much easier to work with than an anxious or an uncertain buyer who will bring up objections at crucial points in the process. Set them up for success by explaining the major milestones they will encounter. It really is true. You have to set expectations about how quickly the market's moving, expectations about when you make an offer. It cannot be below asking price. It has to be asking price. Setting expectations for how long it takes to close on a home, how much information they're going to have to give to a lender. Anytime they can have expectations that they know what to expect, or they expect less and you over deliver, it's going to make them happier. So that is huge. That is very true. They've got to expect. One script we actually just said in class, someone else said it, is about closing costs. And typically, you know, a buyer brings the closing costs, but I guess it's become routine over the last several years that buyers will ask sellers to pay for closing costs. And this line was, sellers are under no obligation to pay for your closing costs. As a buyer, you are responsible for your closing costs and the seller is not responsible whatsoever. It's a bonus if they pay for it. So in this kind of market, it's almost impossible to get them to pay for closing costs, or you have to put them on top of the loan, and some people are nervous about doing that because of appraisal. So setting that expectation that the sellers have no obligation to pay your closing costs. So that way that if you get them to pay closing costs, they're like, wow, okay, so we didn't expect that, but we got it. That's exciting. So other than doing it the other way around where you think, oh yeah, they'll pay your closing costs, that's typical. And then you're in multiple offers and you have to let go of the closing costs, and then they're like, oh crap, we weren't thinking of paying this extra money. Okay. So going through the 6 steps to home buying with them. So this is part of the buyer consultation. It is important. Some people, I have one sheet that I'll email it to them. Sometimes if they say they're first time home buyer, that's very basic. It's like on one sheet, it's like a quick little timeline of the steps. Then other times I'll send them something like this guide. And I'm like, usually I'll say, you know, this is about 10 pages long if you want to know all about the process. So it just depends on how much you feel like they're going to absorb information, because it is a lot to overwhelm people with. I totally understand. So the first step in the home buying process is choose a real estate agent to represent you to find and purchase your dream home. It's important that you trust your agent, and you'll be spending a lot of time together, and it is one of the biggest financial decisions that you make in your life. The next step is to get financially pre-approved with the lender. The benefits include that you'll have a really good handle on how much you can afford, how much it can be when you want to go from a $300,000 house to a $320,000 or a $350,000. What does that look like on a month-to-month basis for their payment? That's good for them to know. And then you'll stick in their budget or under their max price. You have negotiation position, and closing can happen real quickly, very quickly. So it goes hand in hand. They've got to get, the sooner they can talk to a lender, the better. Then you go out and view homes until you find the one, after a thorough understanding of what they're looking for, their needs, their wish lists, what their deal breakers are. I always ask, like, what's the deal breaker? What's your top 5 must-haves? it really is true that you cannot go too in depth. If they're looking for a pool, if they're looking for a fenced in yard, it's like, let's find a house and then we'll look at, getting a fence, because you can't whittle it down too much. There won't be anything out there. So find out their needs and wants on a basic level, and then start going, looking at homes, or I guess at this point, you're just explaining to them, okay, so I'm gonna send you homes with your criteria, or if you see a home on Zillow, I always say this, if you see a home on Zillow or realtor.com, text it to me, share it with me, and then we can go look at it, because sometimes they won't always switch to your website or your emails. They'll still use Zillow. So I just always say, if you see something on Zillow or you see a sign, take a picture of the sign and text it to me, and we can make appointments to visit the homes. If you see a for sale by owner, still contact me. I will make an appointment. I'll talk to the owners and get us in to see the home. Open houses, I'm pretty laid back with, go to open houses, and, some people go with their clients to an open house, but sometimes it makes it more convenient if they can go themselves and just see homes that are open on the weekends. And then any new home developments accompanied by your real estate agent. So yeah, you can go out to see new construction. A lot of those have open houses constantly, or you can go tour properties and develop new developments with them. Once you find the home that they are ready to make an offer, then I'll typically always say, okay, ready to make an offer. I'm going to go home. I'm going to do the numbers, or I'm going to go grab my computer, do the numbers on exactly what to offer, what's the best thing to do. And so I do always do a quick little research. I always do. I feel more comfortable doing it that way, like a CMA or something, just to double check, just to make sure we're in a good price or what to offer. And then you present the offer, so then you write it up and you send it to them. I usually do try to call, and we go through the offer on the phone, just so they have the bullet points of the basics of what they're signing, and then you submit your offer. Typically they're countered or accepted or rejected. When the seller accepts the offer, it becomes a legal contract and it's ratified. Any specific questions on that? That's like a really tricky, crucial part. And it's important for them to know the expectations of, I usually say, once I make an offer, I usually give them, 24 hours to accept the offer. So we'll always hear back. I tell them I'll let you know as soon as I hear something. It's I know it's nerve-wracking for me, and I know it's stressful for them. It's a very like, oh my gosh, okay, I hope they accept it, or what's going to happen. So just to be there, like, it's okay. I've got this. I'll take care of it. I'll be in touch with you, and I'll let you know as soon as I find out if it's been accepted or countered. Especially when it's in multiple offers, which is very typical right now.
I've had an agent take several days to come back with something, which is really irritating. So I'd still constantly stay in touch with your client, though, and not wait for a couple of days till you hear back, because they might have another agent looking at something else at this point. But it's every minute feels like hours when you're waiting to hear back from that.
Yeah, people say they can't sleep, or they're just nervous, like they can't focus. So I'm really conscientious of that and try to be very, so I heard something, I'm checking in, or, I'll let you know. I got my fingers crossed. So, so once your offer has been accepted, it becomes a legal contract. And then I always send a congratulations email. I'm attaching a copy of your contract, and here are the next steps. And I put just 3. Again, I don't want to overwhelm them with too much. So I just say, number 1 is to send in your earnest money deposit. Number 2 is to get with the lender and finish the loan application. And number 3 is to set a home inspection. Those are my 3 things that I tell them at that point. I don't go into like appraisal, underwriting, it's too much. So we just do those 3 things. And then, so once they get their earnest money in, they start their loan application, they get their home inspector scheduled, and then you negotiate the repairs. And you help them through that. And then you do a final review of the contract and you close. So that's another part about, we always talk about expectations. They have to know what to expect. They have to know what to expect with the inspections, how long it's going to take for the appraisal to get back, just keeping them informed. It's really important. So, and those 6 steps, yeah, like I said, you can put them on a little note card, you can put them on a little postcard, you can put them on a little Instagram post, just putting it out there, sending it to people, especially it's a great way to keep in touch. Like, hey, just thinking about you. And by the way, here's the 6 basic steps about buying a home. The great little, if you can just kind of narrow it down to something that's really easy for people to see, I think it's a great little marketing thing. Okay, then during the consultation, at some point, you definitely want to talk about the mortgage and the loan process, especially if they're a first-time home buyer. It's pretty much assuming that they're a first-time home buyer. If they're not, they might be like, oh, well, I haven't bought a home in like 20 years, so I'm not sure, but they'll have a better handle of it. So funding your home purchase, 3 factors are qualification of mortgage, down payment, and closing costs. This stuff is about credit scores and debt to income ratios. I would just say, like, the biggest factors are debt to income ratio, how long have you been at your job, are you self-employed, and then do you have an idea of what your credit score is? I mean, you can break down, yes, you're going to pay the principal, you're going to pay interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and then there might be an HOA. And those are all rolled together. Having a down payment, typically 3 to 10%. There are first-time home buyer. I always say there's first-time home buyer programs. There's VHDA, which has grant money for first-time home buyers. USDA is 0% down. It's in the counties only. FHA is 3.5% down. So talk to a lender, get a good basic grasp of lending or of the different loans that are used. And then closing costs, that's a really important conversation to have with the buyers. They have to know up front, closing costs are cash due at closing. It can't be put on a credit card. It can be gifted in certain times. It can be a gift from a family or friend, but they have to be able to track the funds somehow. I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but if they don't have those closing costs when at closing, they can't close. So they need that usually as a cashier's check. So they have to know up front, do you have closing costs? Do we need to ask for closing costs? Do we need to ask for all of closing costs? Can we ask for half? Can we ask for a couple thousand? Anything right now will help. Do we have to roll it into the loan? Because sometimes you can do it that way. Okay, and then let's see, this looks like an extra page. Okay, 6 steps of home buying, continued, I don't know what that is. Okay, process of funding. So basically, you're going over, I don't know, those pages are out of order. So yeah, you're just giving them the basics at the consultation. Okay, and then number 4, describing and making an offer. So that's probably where they'll have the most questions is, what does it look like when we make an offer? They'll ask, once it's accepted, is that for real? It's truly accepted? Yes, you're really committed to starting the process. So once you found the property you want, we'll write a purchase agreement. Much of the purchase agreement is standard, but there are some things we can negotiate. The biggest are the price that you offer, the closing date, and any additional property, appliances, and items that stay or go are a matter of negotiation. But right now, I would not get in the weeds with all that stuff at this point. Just make the offer with the price, and then a lot of the little stuff can be negotiated after if your offer gets accepted. But if there are big things that they are deal breakers, they have to have the, you know, the lawnmower with it or the washer and dryer. You got to put that in the contract and negotiate that. You present the offer to the listing agent. They either accept it, reject it, or they counter it with changes. The most common is the counter offer. And then once the counter offer comes back to you, you are now back in the driver's seat with whether you want to accept those changes or you can walk away from the contract. So it goes back and forth. I also do, I have like a sheet that I put together of like 5 out-of-pocket expenses a buyer should anticipate. So I think that it's good for people to know upfront, like what are they looking at out of pocket when they go to buy a home besides the down payment. So things like they got to pay for a home inspection. They have to have their earnest money deposit that will get cashed. So it's not just a check that's held. They got to have that $500 to $1,000 upfront. They have to have money for their appraisal. Typically, they have to pay for that upfront, things like that, so that they have a kind of a budget of this is what you're looking at spending. So I usually have that sheet at the buyer consultation as well, or I text it to them.
Laura, would you share some of the stuff that you have for some of the new agents like me?
Yeah, like what? Like the forms I
The
have?
buyer's guide, the things that you've mentioned you have, like the buyer's guide, the sheet, the
Absolutely.
we're
Yeah,
just talking about, that would be great. That would be very
yes, for sure. Yep, I can send it over to you. Absolutely. Because I think those are the things that buyers need to know. I think it's important.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Okay, so then on to explaining closing. So closing one-on-one. So that's, I mean, people don't know that. They don't know, you know, it takes 30 days to close on your home. So I'll say by the time you write the offer to the day you get your keys and can move in, it's about 30 to 45 days. So help them with their timeline. They got to give notice to their, you know, their landlord. They got to plan, you know, things like that. So closing day marks the end of your home buying process and it begins your new life. It's the day you get your keys. It's the day that you have to have all your funds brought to closing. You have to bring photo ID. I usually say 2 forms of ID, one at least with a photo. And you do a final walkthrough the day before closing so they can see the house, double check all the repairs were made. The house has to be in broom swept condition, so it needs to be clean, ready for them to move in. And then there is an addendum that they can sign that says, you know, we've done the final walkthrough and we're accepting the property in the condition that we're seeing it. Another thing to remind them of is utilities. A couple days before closing to switch the utility, get the utilities ready to switch into their name. That's right around. But like I said, with that initial congratulations, I don't go into that kind of stuff. I don't go into closing. I don't go into utilities, appraisals. It's too much. To me, that's just I just feel like I don't want to overwhelm them at the beginning, but then halfway through the process, I'll just keep them, you know, once we're through inspections, now we'll do appraisal and et cetera. The other thing that will come up is the HOA. They'll get a chance to review the HOA packet and accept the terms. So, so title is transferred at closing, delivery of the buyer's funds in a check. Some places accept wired funds, others do not. And then they'll get the deed. And then the house will be theirs. They'll get the keys and they can move in. So then I I think it is important to just have a little sample of frequently asked questions. That's a great thing to stick into the buyer packet. Just some basic questions. As you'll, meet people and work, you'll find the same questions getting asked. So it's great to just have frequently asked questions in there. We won't go over the closing cost scripts, but it is important. You have to talk to them about closing costs. And then at the end, they have, the about me, and some people put their resume, like I said, in there, especially if you're starting out and you can't say, oh, I sold 100 homes, the past year or whatever, or 5 years. Just put your business resume, or why you got into real estate, or what you did before real estate. How long have you lived in the area? If you've been here your whole life, or you went to JF or something, that's great information, I think, to let them know that you're really hone in on your strengths. The area like the back of your hand, or, you love houses, you watch HGTV and $1 Million Listing all the time, things like that. And then you can add stuff about Keller Williams Realty into the packet. So feel free to customize your packet. You can even Google like buyer consultation packets, and they'll have fillable PDFs. You can see what other agents in all over the country are using. You can see what different companies have, but Keller Williams does have a great, especially with Command, they have a great little center with all different kinds of sheets and things like that. So you can customize it to what you're comfortable with. But I do think it's very professional to hand them something. And then how much can people retain during a consultation? So if they have something that they can go look after, when they're getting ready for bed or something, they can read through it again. I think it's important. And then close your argument. So at the end, typically you want to ask for them to sign the exclusive right to represent. You have given them the information in the consultation, and then they have some scripts on closing and having them sign the consultation form. I am the first to admit that it's not always the easiest or the most natural to say, all right, we'll sign this if you want to work with me. But it is, I do think you should offer it. You should talk about it. You should have one there if they want to sign there, or you can say, right after this, if you're comfortable with this, I'll email it to you to sign. And we learned this from Dan. I did not realize this, but the reason that form is so important is because in the state of Virginia, if you don't have that signed, typically all realtors work for the sellers. Like by law, you are working for the sellers and selling homes, unless you sign an exclusive right to represent, and then you're separating yourself from the sellers, and you're saying, I no longer work for the sellers, I only work for this buyer to represent their best needs. So I did not know that. So you can use that as a script and just say, that's how the state of Virginia is. I'm technically working for the seller unless we sign this form, and then I can exclusively work with you. I can talk to you about, and you're not supposed to talk with people about money or negotiating or offer prices, how much they want to offer for a home, unless you have a signed agreement. It's to protect you and protect them.
Thanks for telling me that. I did not know that, but I mean, I've always had a difficulty getting people to sign those because it just feels like, but that if I tell them that, like, that's great information. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is great. Thank you.
Yeah. And that makes you sound really knowledgeable. You can say, like according to the state of Virginia, blah, blah, blah. So
I knew it was law, but then making somebody do it, you're kind of like, well, what's the law? And if they ask me, like, I don't know, just sign it. But so I just want you to tell you before we finish this up, to check out the chat box too. Jennifer Roach thanked you for good information as being a buyer's agent, but she had to sign off to go do a showing.
Okay. Yeah, and this is recorded, and I guess that it can be sent or watched later. So yeah, it's, well, you're welcome, of course. happy to help. And I'm always upstairs at Keller Williams. I'm in the office upstairs, so I'm free to help. I know how hard it is. I have, I am the first person me and Trey were like just nervous. I was nervous about everything, nervous about driving with a client following me, nervous about opening a door in front of people, like fumbling with the little key fobs, nervous about, walking through the house and they're asking me, well, where's the cable? Where's the septic? How old is the roof? And I'm like, I don't know, so if anything can, if I can help with anything, I'm happy to help.
And guys, if you have a moment, seriously, go follow Laura on Facebook. I stalk her and her videos because she's amazing. And I was one of the lucky ones before COVID hit that I got to spend my first year in real estate with Laura doing a lot of classes, and we spent a lot of time together. And she's got great stories, and she's an amazing agent. So spend a little time with her if you have a chance. If you can catch her, she's out there real busy, but
no, I'm in the office. I'm in the office making calls all the time. So I'm calling people. So if you're nervous about calling people, come upstairs and we'll just call people because I have to do it.
I might be there with you helping me.
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, so definitely get that signed. And then you can always say, like, if it doesn't work out, or if we start working together and it's not a good fit, they can just email you and say, thanks for your help, but we've decided to go in a different direction. And then they can rescind the contract. So it's not like this binding, contract that they can't get out of if they feel like you dropped the ball, they can never get a hold of you, or it's just not working out for either one of you. They can get out of it. But it is true. It does give you a little peace of mind that you have something signed with them, that you're kind of on the same page with working together. But I don't always get it signed.
I'm bad about it. But something Teresa told me recently too, she said, if somebody acts really weird about doing that, just if you're going to meet them in a house, put that one address on there and tell them I have to have this legally for that. And I'm like, well, that's a great idea,
Yes.
So.
And I did just do that with someone. They did not want to sign it even for a couple months. They wanted to sign it just for one property. And so I was like, sure, that's no problem. I think that is something too that changes when you're new and it's kind of like dating. It's like dating, like you're needy and desperate and like, please, but then you get to a place where, do I want to work with you? I'm really busy, is this going to be a good fit for us? Teresa's really good about that. She comes across as very, I want this to be a good working relationship for us. And if it's not, you're not my people, I'm not your people, we just have to part ways, and you just kind of have to move on. And I think it's a mindset thing. So she does a really good job with that. Okay, so then there's script practice, and with different objections that people will give you. So, and it is true, they will object to signing something. They won't want to sign it. They don't feel like they know you. They don't know if, they'll never see you again or hear from you, which happens. So it's perfectly understandable. And that's why I would probably say, okay, well, I'll just email it to you and you can just think about it, or, we can sign it later. And then all of a sudden, boop, they signed it all of a sudden after a couple of days or something. So, and I would be the first to say, if I'm not, sending you homes or following up with you and you need to use someone else, then they need to have the freedom to do that. So there is one more video to analyzing needs and wants. So we'll watch that real quick.
Wants and desires that is used to establish and define goals. Step 2. Needs analysis. The systematic process of collecting information about needs, wants, and desires that is used to establish and define goals. Step 2 of the buyer consultation is the needs analysis. Only when you understand what is ultimately important to your customers can you deliver it. Many agents ask their clients, "What do you want in a house?" and stop there. They don't realize the answer to that question isn't the same as "What do you need?" or "What's important to you?" Determining your customer's core wants, needs, and values is a process. Draw a line down the middle of a piece of paper and write needs on the left and wants on the right, and use it to track their needs and wants as you go through this process. At this point, you will have a clear understanding of what buyers need versus what they want, but you are not done. Now, you want to drill down and uncover their values by finding out why they need and want what they do. Use this question: what about blank is important to you? Let's see how it works. Say your buyer has told you that they want or need a large yard. You say,
so what's about a large yard that's important to you?
Your buyer says, I like to garden. You ask,
you like gardening, and what's important about gardening?
Your buyer says, I like to spend time outdoors. It helps me relax. You ask,
makes you feel relaxed, and what's important about being relaxed?
Your buyer says, when I'm relaxed, I can spend more quality time with my wife. Bullseye. A large yard equals family. At this point, you have uncovered a value. You can now look for other ways it applies to your buyer.
A large yard is important because it allows you to spend quality time with your wife, correct? So what else about your new home would be important to you in terms of spending more time with your wife?
Okay. Back to this one. Okay, so that's true. And even Stephen was working with me this morning about how objections are not real objections. So people will say, yeah, they want a big yard, but it's you got to dig down further. Or they'll say, oh, this house, like I had one this morning, it was like, oh, the driveway is too steep. It's like, you know, sometimes they are true objections, but other times it's like they can be overcome pretty easily. So knowing, just like really digging in on, okay, that means that you know, family time. Sometimes maybe it's not the yard, maybe you can have family time in a basement or, you know, like a bonus rec room or something like that. So, okay, let's get, okay, so that is about it. So there is an action plan for next, I guess the next class, to prepare a call list, different industries, find referrals. Another tip that actually our new market leader, Alice, said was when she was beginning, she took a lender out to lunch, she took an attorney out to lunch, just asked them questions about their business. And so that's a good thing to do. It's just to learn more about lending or closing, things like that. So building a big funnel pipeline to get done.
And Laura's correct about learning about the lending. So I got lucky and there you are, Michelle. I got lucky and pretty much, you know, sold a house pretty quick off the bat. And it was, Teresa was like, I said, what do I do? Call the lender. It was a VA loan. I didn't have a clue about anything I was doing. And that lender luckily took her time and called me about 8,000 times. But after that, I knew I needed a chart, and you need to know FHA is 3.5% down. USDA is going to be county. What is it, Laura? VHDA is a city that can be no money, but you don't have to be a lender. And if it's beyond your pay grade with that, tell them, go talk to their lender. But having just like a maybe second grade education, and that is really, really helpful with first time buyers, especially.
Absolutely. Yep. Any other questions or comments or?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm still semi-new, so anyone, like I said, really, like, my door's open and I'm happy to talk to anybody because I'm still working out, you know, scripts and calls and keeping in touch with people, following up. It's all a big thing. Yeah, big funnel.
And Laura can tell you, I've been in the business just starting my 3rd year, and Laura and I talked, was it last week or 10 days ago, and I have not done a good job of filling the top of that funnel up. And then I realized, hey, you don't get a paycheck if you're doing that. It doesn't come. So she's right. Keep taking the leads, keep talking to people, tell everybody you're an agent without being, irritating, and follow up with people. They might not be ready right now, but put them on a smart plan or a auto prospect. And it's important just to keep going. Even if you got 2 or 3 under contract, they're eventually going to close, or they might not close, and then that's it. So just keep working, guys.
Vanessa, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I'm going to definitely come see you.
Okay, yes, come see me.
I've got a list of everybody I'm going to work with. So
yes. I'm really excited. I mean, it's really exciting to start out, and it's hard, but you just feel, I always thought like, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to keep banging on this door until it opens, because you'll get a lot of no's, and it's a mind thing. Your mind, like going, the first time I didn't get a paycheck every 2 weeks from another job, I was freaking out. So it's the mind thing, but you'll do a great job. Definitely.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Hey, Laura,
Hi.
I gotta agree with Trey. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
I know you said you were nervous at first, and I've been there. I know it's hard to believe that I get nervous, but you flowed right into it once you got past the 10, fours and doing all that. You went right into it, and you make me feel like I'm totally unorganized now. So thank you for doing such a good job.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, thanks, Shalaya. She coached me through how to do Zoom and all that stuff. So, and I'll get all those forms to you. I'll definitely tell her to email all the forms. So, and get my personal forms out. All right. Have a great day. Yep. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.